bit with you about where I've been and where we're going, and then enjoy a conversation thereafter with Sadie. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to take you all the way back, not all the way back, but like 25 years to when I was a wee lad in school. I decided to study cognitive science. This is a nice visual depiction of that. The study of how the mind works, how we perceive things. And I didn't retain so much, except two kind of pivotal things that have led me in my career thus far. One is the idea of recency and frequency. So here I am with a branded sweatshirt that says Quest, very bright, and so this is the recency and frequency hitting you right away. And the second thing is something that we've learned through, I'm going to maybe touch the computer over here, is what we've been able to learn through neuroimaging. What happens to your brain when you're stimulated by different things in the world? And as advertisers, that's really important because memory, perception, and behavior is really at the crux of everything we're trying to do. So one thing we've learned in advertising is that puppies and babies tend to stimulate the frontal cortex where emotion takes place as opposed to rational behavior. These happen to be my puppy and baby. This is Lucy on the left and Hale on the right. Hashtag Delta. Thank you for accommodating both of these things in the business class upgrade. In any case, that's also a memory trick for you guys to remember. If nothing else, this guy up here works for Quest and has a dog and a baby. Back in the day when I was trying to figure out what to do in my professional career, somehow I came across this book by John Steele. Some of you may know of it, may have read it, but it was transformational for me, called Truth, Lies, and Advertising, The Art of Account Planning. So John Steele was the godfather of account planning and said, we have to start with the human insight. What do we know to be true that will inform the creative brief and lead to not only creative ideas, but effective ideas? And so with that, I went on and had the privilege of working on these esteemed brands over my career. And most recently, or not most recently, but up until 2020, I was leading growth brands at Marriott, AC, Element, Aloft, Moxie Hotels. These were the fastest growing, newest lifestyle brands in the select service category. And on year 3, we had reformed our team, set up shop in New York City, where the headquarters was in Bethesda, and had really hit our stride. And then a funny thing happened, not a funny thing, a strange thing happened on the way to the forum, called COVID-19, a global pandemic that we haven't seen for 100 years. So people stopped traveling, not by choice, well, perhaps by choice, but mostly by mandate. And so I went on furlough. And that gave me time to think about what to do next. And so as people stopped traveling, one thing they started to do was testing, a lot of it. And if you think about 3 years ago, if someone told you that you would understand what PCR, antibody, antigen meant, you'd think they were crazy, but now we do. And some things happened in the last couple of years that drove Quest to renewed relevance. Because up until this time, up until present day, you knew Quest as a box that sat outside of a discrete strip mall or on the street in New York City to be collected at a later date. And if that's not how you know the brand, you perhaps may have received a bill in the mail, not even knowing that we provided your services. So when we think about the brand sentiment, as I explored this company and opportunity, I would say at best it was indifferent. And at worst it was frustration with billing or anxiety-ridden with the idea of having your blood drawn at one of our centers, which is critical work and necessary to health. And so somewhere inside there, I saw an opportunity to create a lifestyle brand. And a quick history lesson on Quest. We're the largest diagnostic provider in the country, Fortune 500, established in 1967. We have gathered over 4 billion health data points to provide trends in population health and to aid in the development of advances in science and medicine. We have 2,300 locations around the country. That's akin to some of the largest fast serve restaurant chains around. So we have a very wide footprint in the nation. We have a catalog of over 3,000 tests and over 600 PhDs and MDs in our employees. So it's a fascinating company that is critical to the healthcare industry. In fact, we are responsible for over 70% of the healthcare decisions made in all of our lives on an annual basis. So I've said before, we're like the utility company of healthcare, but consumer marketers don't really love working for utility companies. And so I had the opportunity to come into Quest and help drive transformation at a 50-plus-year-old company. Take us from a B2B organization that was critical to the healthcare industry, and based on a mix of opportunity and occasion, work on developing a consumer business at Quest. So taking what you think about Quest, which is this image right here, test tubes and masks and conveyor belts, etc. And what you've seen from us before, which really feels like something someone with a lab coat on would hand you in a waiting room, to a consumer lifestyle brand, to a Quest that feels more modern, more approachable, more human, but still cutting edge. So over the last 2 years, we've developed a new brand expression for Quest, a new positioning, created a new commerce experience, a new MarTech stack, a new agency stack, and very recently have launched a new consumer campaign. And so if you think about what you've seen from Quest before and what you'll start to see from Quest tomorrow, what we're really doubling down on and what we're putting our chips behind is a new offering or a renewed offering called questhealth.com. So this is my shameless plug. Go to questhealth.com, get tests without a doctor's visit. We can talk in a little bit about why that might be interesting to you. But as we think about what's happening today with the consumerization of care, with the rise in e-com, the rise in telehealth, in large part accelerated by the pandemic we all lived through, I'm really proud to share what my team and I have developed to move Quest into a new generation of care. So with that, I'm going to share the campaign that we just launched a few weeks ago called Put Yourself to the Test. So combined with so this was the first full funnel campaign in the history of the company. Proud to say a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in convincing of a C-suite that has accounting backgrounds and not marketing led us to here, a proud moment. And this is a cornucopia of our campaign that is live today. Some of these placements, Bryant Park, Herald Square, you might have the advantage of seeing as you're walking around the city, as well as I think one of our most exciting placements in West Hollywood on the a takeover of the W Hotel. When you think about testing and the categories of testing, we've got general health, sexual health, allergy, are major categories of interest, and we'll talk a little bit later today about what those use cases are, who our audience types are, etc. But for a conservative B2B healthcare company to be able to go into West Hollywood and talk about sexual health is a step change for the organization. And speaking of sexual health, what I shared earlier was kind of a cross-category launch of this campaign, but we've also developed a lot of cut downs in video, in banner and social display, influencer, clearly out of home, to create range for this campaign. So before we get into the conversation, I want to share with you a cut down for our sexual health offering. I am the perfect human. All right. So the last thing that I want to leave you all with on this campaign is kind of as I was thinking about it over the last week, like what was the biggest surprise in developing this campaign? And one thing that I don't think we talk about enough are individual components of a campaign and how those come to be. And what came to mind for me as I was thinking about it was actually the music in our campaign. We were actually going with a different track than what you heard on this campaign when we went final. It was upbeat, it was fresh. It was actually a Fatboy Slim track that maybe 20 years old at this point. But at the last minute, we shifted gears to a dark horse called Lynx. And it just so turns out that this track is called Perfect Human Specimen. So those of you who are Spotify fans and maybe got this song lodged in your brains and want to play it on repeat, you can snap your phone up here. I'll leave it up for 2 or 3 seconds. But it's really exciting to think about macro. What are you driving in terms of achieving your business objectives? And then how deep down on a micro level do you go with decision making to really find the individual pieces that make a campaign sing. So with that, I want to leave you with a quote from Albert Einstein that I shared with our C-suite when we greenlit this campaign and doubled down our spend. I said, not my words, but his, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. And so if there's any takeaways from this half hour this morning, I encourage you to use this idea when you're getting pushback for developing something new and different and special. I think next up is our conversation. Right.